Hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Gina Martin and I'm here with some more RCA tips and stories to share with you. This is going to be an unedited version just to get the information out, and I will do some more snazzy stuff in the future. Just kind of been busy. Anyways, I did make a part 2 to the other video, but the internet that I had at the hotel wasn't working and my phone didn't really have very good internet, so I'm uploading on my data right now. Anyways, so I started with the post office and my official start day was January 28th. That was my first day of orientation. I started applying mid-May. That's when I started applying for this position. So the whole process to get applied and through took about a month and a half. It did seem like a very long process in the middle of it. I just kept checking emails, and checking with my postmaster to see if there was any new updates. The process for applying was it was simple, but it was challenging. So you go to the USPS site, you find your state under, you go all the way down to the bottom of the screen, click careers, find your state, and it shows all of the positions. And I chose the RCA, which is a Rural Carrier Associate, kind of a substitute for a regular rural carrier. So you go through, you apply, then in your email, either in your spam or in your inbox, you should get an invitation to take this assessment. It's not a terrible assessment, but it is it's kind of almost like a "Are you a good fit for the post office" type quiz. So took that. Actually, I had some complications, but that's another story for another day. Went through that process, went through waiting. Finally, after I hear back after about a month, they're like, okay, we can get you in. And it was like a week or two later that they were able to get me into orientation. So orientation is just a big, broad overview of the post office. It covers etiquette, it covers ethics, it covers a broad view of the post office. It covers other positions too, just depending on who's in your class. I had a class size of 3, and we went over more RCA type stuff because all 3 of us were RCAs. Now fast forward, then we go back to our home post office. We do a shadow day. So we follow around the regular carrier that we will be substituting for. During that day, keep an eye out whether or not the mailboxes are marked either on the outside or on the inside. If they are not marked with the numbers, ask your carrier to mark them, and just kind of keep a mental note that you asked your regular carrier if they could mark the inside of the boxes for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'll need that later. So then you go to Carrier Academy, specifically designed for the rural pathway. Okay, so we don't cross-train, anything like that. It is, you're rural, you're going rural. If you're city, you're going city, and you're in your own little journey. So we went through class. We had a class size of 4. The 3 that I had from orientation, and then 1 other that was also in. It was a very intimate class. We did keep 6 feet apart at that time. And this training for me was in Salina, Kansas. So anyways, that is specific to the job. You'll learn things like you'll have a vehicle safety type thing. You will have what do you do about dogs? How do you work the scanner? How do you case your mail? Just a whole bunch of items. So for mine, we also had to do a not really a timed test. but it shows you how fast that you need to get to case the mail. You don't have to get there right away, but you'll practice casing the mail, and then they say, okay, you need to do this many in a minute. That is not you have to know that right now. That is just kind of as you get more experience, this is kind of what it works up to, and you realize, oh wow, okay, cool. But so like it just depends on your trainer. Mine was very, very good, very thorough. Loved her to pieces. And in orientation or in carrier training, they also talk to us about joining the union and the benefits of joining the union. I recommend it. There's just a lot of good information that comes out. They send you your contract so you know the ins and outs of being a rural carrier in case issues arise. They're kind of almost like a safety net. It's not too expensive each month, and if by chance you're on an H route and you're only working like once a month or once in a while, they will pay the fee for you if you're not working. So it's not like you are paying into the union if you're not making any money, if that makes sense. So they'll talk to you about union and joining union or not. You have the option. If you choose not to, you can always go contact at a later point to sign up. Then we did orientation. We went back to our home post offices, and we had job shadowing, job training. And for me, I did job shadowing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I carried that Friday. So Tuesday and Wednesday for me specifically was following being in the car with the regular carrier for my route. I helped case mail. I helped pull mail from one and hand it to him just to kind of see. I wouldn't recommend doing that every single day. Now, of course, this would be a conversation you have with your postmaster and your regular carrier. But so I was looking down at the mail, putting it over, trying to remember the mailbox, and just that process was, I couldn't remember hardly any of it. I did set, so it's called Map My Run. It's actually for running, but it works really well to track your movement as long as you stick to route that day. So you'll have 2 days where you're following the regular around, and like 1 day of you actually driving and your regular carrier's in the car with you, and then whenever your scheduled work day is you're on your own. Well, they're not going to completely throw you to the wolves, but you're close to on your own. I would recommend, if you are center driving, like you're driving in the center of your vehicle, practice. If you haven't driven a right-hand drive and you just bought one for the job, practice before you actually go out on your own. Like go out to a country road and drive center drive, because it's a whole different experience. I picked it up quick, but I was driving like that was my first time, was when the carrier was in the back seat and I was trying to drive. Don't recommend that. If you can, practice driving center drive. So anyways, so here is where that mailbox tidbit comes in. So I specifically had asked my carrier, hey, are these marked? How would I know that I'm putting in the right box? Oh, well, I'll mark them for you. I get back from training, we go through shadowing, I'm looking at these boxes, they're not marked. That's okay, I'll mark them for you. I get to my carry day where I am by myself. I can't ask, hey, is this where this mail goes? Those mailboxes are not marked. So I talked to the postmaster, and all of a sudden the mailboxes were getting marked by my next time I carried. So I would almost recommend sooner talking to your postmaster if this is not getting done. So like maybe if your shadow day, maybe if your first shadow day, if it's not done and you ask nicely, then maybe go ask somebody higher up, or just really say, hey, I really want to succeed at this. Could you mark the inside of the boxes? Or on your second shadow day, hand the marker over to the carrier and ask, hey, could you mark that box? It doesn't have a number in it. It takes a little bit of time, but it will save you so much time in the beginning and from putting the mail in the wrong mailbox, which I've done, and it went for a month. Different story for a different day. The next thing is, so I went through, and on your first route, your home route, your regular route, you get those shadow days. Any route after that, they are only required to give you 1 day of training. When I learned my second route, which is in the future, I made sure to write down mailbox numbers so that I knew where everything was at. I took detailed notes. I sat in the back seat. I didn't help move mail. It was a much easier process. I did wear out my hand writing all of it, but it definitely made for a smoother route time later on. So the main route, you either have like a K route or an H route. There might be a third one, auxiliary or something like that, but I don't remember. The gist is the K routes are larger routes. The regular carrier carries 5 days and is off on the 6th day. Whether that falls on a Tuesday, a Friday, Saturday, they get 5 days out of the week carrying 1 day off. On an H route, it's a small enough route that the regular carrier carries 6 days of the week. The only day they're off is that Sunday that the post office doesn't carry. So the only time that sub would carry is when that regular carrier requests a day off, and they'll let you know, hey, can you carry? So that's kind of the difference between those pieces. The next bit of tidbit, so my overall experience with the post office is good. You blow tires. Tires are the things that you're going to replace often. I have had tires patched a ton. You use a lot of miles. If you should get called in situations that you would carry long term, typically it's not like every day. Typically it's like, maybe once a week or once every so often, unless a situation arises where you're carrying more often. Also, once you get through your probationary time, there's like a couple different probationary times. Your first one, where it's a 10-week and you're paid hourly, you are paid hourly at the time. After that 10-week period, you go to evaluation. Within that 10-week period, I noticed I did not learn any new routes. That's probably because they want to make sure you're well trained. I have a classmate that hardly had a day off, and I'm like, I want to go, I want to do more routes. Now I don't really care to do more, but that's just kind of what ended up happening. Right after my 10-week, so at that 10-week mark, they send out a piece of paper. They tell you your route, your evaluation time. It's a sheet of paper, tells you more about your job. But that happens right around 10 weeks. Literally the next week, I got called, hey, do you want to come in and learn a new route? Sure. I learned the route that Monday. I carried it the very next day, the Tuesday. There's an extenuating circumstance. That's why I had to do this. Anyways, that third day, the carrier that was supposed to carry got into an accident, not at work, on the way to work, and said, hey, I can't be there, obviously. So they called me. It was like 8:12 in the morning, which is pretty late. I went in, I carried it, so only knowing it that would have been my second day actually carrying. I have since carried that route a lot. Just due to circumstances, I've carried that route a ton. Just between the last month and a half, I racked up about 3,000 miles because I know this because I got oil change done at the beginning of November, or no, sorry, in October, and then I got an oil change done again in November. So it's been pretty crazy. So there have been days I wanted to pull my hair out. It is now middle of holiday season. There have been super heavy days, and we're now getting into the even crazier season. So we'll see how that goes. This is my first holiday season. I mean, it's just different. So for me, I have a kid. I have to worry about getting somebody for daycare, getting somebody to watch him on a Saturday if I had to work a Saturday. So there are days that I don't get off in time to pick my kid up. Those are the days where I seriously want to quit. Then the paycheck says, hey, you're doing good. This is a good job. So stick around for a while. So I say, okay, that's fine. Then there are other days that are really good because you see the scenery and you get to drive around and see the people. And so it's a pretty good job overall. It's just when I get off a little bit later and can't pick my kid up from daycare, that's the days that it gets to me. But overall, it's a pretty good job. If I were, single, no kids, and could work any hours, you have the potential to go out to other post offices after they are comfortable, and there's a need. Then you can go sub in other offices, just depending on how your postmaster and other subs, like what the situation is. But if you're willing to work and you work hard and you do well at your job, you can work a lot of days in just different areas depending on your need in that area. So I hope this helped. I'm going to just push this video out, that way you get some value from it. It's kind of cutting time, so we will cut it short here. If you want to go ahead and follow, if you aren't already subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button if this gave you value. Also, feel free to add your questions and commentary down in the comments section. I'm pretty good about answering those, as well as that helps me frame my next video. So if you got value out of this, I would just love to hear from you, as well as, yeah. So thank you for those that have already commented and asked for feedback or whatnot about the job. I hope I answered your questions pretty well. If not, I will try and make more videos in the upcoming days, and maybe just start pushing out a weekly video, story time, whatnot, because I found these videos to be super helpful. So I'm hoping that this video helps you out and I can show you more in the future. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time.